All right, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Adam. It's hashtag homeless day 29. Oh, oh boy. Yeah, I don't have a lot to talk about today, but I say that every day, and I end up finding things. This is off the cuff. I really had nothing to talk about. About an hour ago, I decided to go grab some lunch down to Farm Fresh Foods here in Jamestown, little grocery store. Delicious subs. Oh, their subs are so good. I don't know if it's the best sub I've ever had, but it is good. Like, there's really nothing else that I can swipe this card for that I really want to eat, so I go there. On days like this when I don't think I'm gonna be back to the shelter from the library on time for dinner. And got myself delicious. I tried their coleslaw today. Oh, it's good. Good. It's and coleslaw can be, some people can make a really nasty coleslaw. But this coleslaw was on point. It was delicious, as everything else is that I eat there. Not gonna get no complaints. Had a very interesting hour during lunch. Got an email from the company that I interviewed with yesterday. They told me it could take well over a week to get back to me, but they got back to me today while I was eating lunch. They want me to come in or, come on to a Zoom meeting for the third interview. And this is the interview with the CEO of the company. And this is a company of between 1,000 and 2,000 employees. So this is a big deal. I think the hardest of all the interviews is behind me now. That's the interview with the person who's making the decision on who they want to hire. That's the one that's the hardest in the process. But I'm going to have this next interview, and if they want to continue, there will probably be one more interview. And then that's when they decide, okay, we're going to make him an offer. And then that's when at this point, it seems like that's the time I'm going to have to tell them, what's going on with my situation in terms of they're going to tell me, hey, fill this form out so we can do a background check. And I'm going to have to say, oh, can you just hold on a second? We got to have a talk. So, I could get all the way to the finish line with this thing and, crash 200 feet before the finish line in the Tour de France. And, the yellow jersey goes to the next guy. That's a possibility, but I have to do what I have to do. And I have to keep fighting and plugging my way through this. So that was good news. That was enough good news for me today to have a nice stride in my step and to be happy for the rest of the day. There's another company that I didn't mention in yesterday's video. There's another pretty prestigious organization here in Jamestown that has been talking to me back and forth via email over the last 2 weeks, I would say. And it all started because of a blind email that I sent to the executive director of this organization, based on a tip that I heard from somebody that they might be looking for somebody. But I had to do a lot of homework, and I had to figure out this person's email address, and I had to go through, I had to do some, it wasn't shady, but I had to do some digging and research across the internet to figure out what her email address was. And come to find out, I did a good job figuring that out because I heard back from the organization about a month or two later. This was back in April, and now it's June. So almost 2 months after I sent the resume. They asked me a couple of days ago to send them a portfolio of my print design work. And I haven't really done that kind of work. Posters, brochures, logo design, anything that would be in a printed format. Even business cards, letterheads, stationery, your corporate collateral packages, sales documentation, point of purchase displays, packaging, all that kind of stuff. And I have a lot of that stuff in a portfolio down in Pittsburgh, actual printed samples that you can hold in your hand. So, and I have a handful of things scattered around my Evernote files and different note-taking apps and different folders of just random stuff that I'm trying to put together a portfolio from, but I didn't have anything prepared for these people. So I was able to get the person that's holding on to my property down in Pittsburgh, what little stuff was kept in the house that I lost when I got arrested. She was able to get some photographs of my print portfolio binder. And they're not the best photographs, and they didn't have to be. I wasn't looking for anything spectacular. I felt like I'm not throwing in the towel. This is a hard request for me to fill. Every company that I'm interviewing with right now, they want a completely different portfolio. The first company that I interviewed with, they wanted to see how well I write code. So I spent 2 weeks putting together all kinds of samples of some complicated things that are a result of code that I wrote, with the code easily available using a tool called CodePen, which allows you to show your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript code in 3 separate panels, and then it shows the result of that code in a separate window. So it's a really nice tool to show people like that what you can do. And without having to set up a website and without them having to dig through your website source code to see what you did. So I spent some time on that. The next company comes along. We want to see prototypes. We want to see what you do in Figma and Sketch. So I had to scramble a little bit and pull all these Sketch files and Figma files together into prototypes that are something that I can show them with various links. These are things that I did for other companies, so I didn't have a direct link to show them off. So I had to kind of rebuild these projects in the tools that they wanted to see them displayed in. And so I've been working on that for the last couple of weeks, and I've made some good progress there, but that's the kind of project that I could spend a couple months on before I'm satisfied that I have everything in it that should be in it. So there's that. And then yesterday, I think it was the day before, I had to jump ship again and start to gather as many samples of printed things, brochures. I pulled together some brochures. I threw together animated storyboard that was turned into a motion graphics presentation that closed a big contract for a company. I put together, and then I just had somebody take some photographs of my print portfolio binder. It's this large, it's like the size of a table, the binder, and it's got a shoulder strap, and it's very professional looking. But I haven't used this binder in years because the work that I do revolves around digital screens and websites and apps and those kinds of things. So I kind of put this portfolio binder of my print stuff away, and I haven't done much to add to it, even though I've done that kind of work for lots of companies over the last 10 years. None of that is in that binder because I usually don't go looking for those kind of jobs, but this one kind of came to me, and it's the kind of company I think would be good to work for. So I thought I need to put in whatever I can put in I just got to get my foot in the door with these people to call me in for an in-person interview. And it may or may not work, and that's fine. I didn't throw in the towel because I didn't have readily available what they asked me for. I just rolled up my sleeves and spent 3 hours gathering all this stuff and putting together the best presentation that I could and sent it back to them. And then the next time a request like that comes my way, I'm better prepared to handle it. I can take what I did for them, maybe add to it, improve it, take it to the next level, send it to the next people that ask. And so it's one of these never-ending projects that at the end of the day, it's just going to keep getting better and better. And the way I'm doing everything right now, it shouldn't get worse. One of the things that happened when I got arrested, I lost every single email account I had, every single website, every single domain name I owned. I lost all of my digital assets. They're all gone. all of it was gone. I lost my home, I lost my vehicles, I lost my family, I lost my relationships, I lost friends, I lost my kids, I lost most of the property that was in my house. Everything. So April 2nd, the day that I got out of prison, I'm starting my life over from scratch. I had a pair of shorts from prison, a zip-up sweater. It was still snowing and freezing rain. I got stranded in Bridgeport, Connecticut on the day of my release because the people that booked my travel home didn't do a good job. And so that was a crazy experience. By the time I got home, it was the next day at like 6 p.m. And that was the first time I got to sit down in an apartment and just kind of start to decompress. And then that turned into a bunch of drama. And so I've been starting my life over from scratch, as if I was just born yesterday, born into a 40 whatever year old body with absolutely no money, no prospects, no portfolio, no credentials. I didn't have a single social media account, no LinkedIn, nothing. Every single thing in my digital world was gone, or I was locked out of it. And I spent the first month after release recovering data and doing other things, but I was able to recover a lot of the stuff that I lost. Not all of it, but enough that I'm in a good position now as I'm rebuilding stuff. And I keep uncovering more things, and I keep finding more things that I can unlock and get back into that I was locked out of or lost access to. So there's that. So that's the job search front. And then one of the things that's been happening to me ever since I wound up homeless, everywhere I go, every time I sit down somewhere, it's even hard to go to these parks and sit down to do these videos because of this. I go to the library, I sit in the corner by myself. Everywhere I go, random people just want to come up to me and talk and have conversations and introduce themselves to me, and they want to sit and talk for half an hour. There was a lady yesterday who randomly came up to me and started showing me all these crochet animals that she makes, and she was talking to me for half an hour about an arts festival or something here in Jamestown that she's going to be selling all these arts and crafts at. And I was like, wow, that's really nice stuff. And I asked, how do you get a booth there? Thinking in terms of my own photography, but it's something that you have to be invited to, and I'm not prepared for something like that for sure. I don't have the money to set up what I would need to set up in terms of inventory and all the things I would have to do for that, but random people just keep coming up to me left and right, whether they're homeless, whether they're important people like CEOs and things like that. All walks of life. I interact with all walks of life on a regular basis, down, like I said, from the homeless person up to the CEO of a major corporation. I've met and known them all. I've had this freaking noise. There's no lawnmower over there. There's a jackhammer back that way. There's a busy street this way. There's nowhere else I can go. Sorry, guys. But I've had an interesting life. I've met all kinds of people. I could name drop names that you would all know. It doesn't matter. It's just, and I'm an introvert. I'm not somebody who likes to be social. I don't want to do these videos. I don't want to have to, I would really enjoy locking myself away into an apartment that I rent and it's mine, shutting the door and disappearing for 3 or 4 days. I haven't had any time to myself in closing in on 2 years now. And that's really, like, for an introvert, that's tough to deal with. The only reason that I'm able to talk to you guys and to deal with the fact that all these people want to talk to me, and and I have to go out and meet people and be social in order to accomplish my goals. The only reason I was able to ever get to the point where I can do that as good as I do is because I forced myself to. I forced myself into situations that would make me uncomfortable and that I would have no other choice but to do the uncomfortable thing. And as a result, you just get used to it after a while, and it may not be your natural state of being, but you do something enough and you force yourself to do it enough, eventually you just don't care anymore, and it's not a big deal. But by nature, I'm not somebody who wants to be, I'm not somebody who wants to, I'm not the social butterfly. That's what it is. I'd rather sit in the back corner of the room with my closest friends and hang out and not have to shake hands and talk to everybody at the club. That's just the way I am, and that's fine. We have all kinds of people in the world, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. And so, I've just learned that there are certain things that I wanted to accomplish and do in my life, and the only way to do it is to force yourself to do it. One of the things I used to do when I owned my own business was go to networking events, these wine and cheese things where business people get together to have a presentation or some sort of seminar or whatever the case may be, but it's basically a big social networking thing, and people are just talking to each other and passing out business cards to each other and trying to improve, build their network. And I made a point. This was a rule that I had. I would not go with anybody I know. I would not invite people to come with me. I would hope that when I get there, there's nobody there that I know. And by doing so, that forces me to introduce myself to everybody there and to walk around the room and to say, hey, how you doing? I noticed you're this or that, or, and start up a conversation with people and, see where it goes. I would go with a stack of business cards. I would come home with a lot less cards. I would end up with a stack of other people's business cards and enter all that information into my tracking systems. And a lot of that would turn into work, clients. Sometimes it would take a year. But, building those networks made it so that I could do what I was doing. And had I just, put it this way, anytime I would go to something like that and say 2 friends come with me, we'd end up sitting in the back corner of the room just hanging out, talking to each other and being comfortable. And at the end of the night, it would be kind of like, why were we here? Why, we didn't accomplish anything. All we did was sit in the back of the room, like the wallflowers at the high school dance, And so that's what I'll do. If it's available, I will latch on to the people I know. I'll go sit in the corner. I'll hang out with them. I'll stay in my little clique or whatever it is. But if I go someplace where I don't know anybody, it's the opposite. I have to get out of whatever funk I'm in and just introduce myself to people, talk to people, see who you can meet. And so with that, today, I'm at, like I said, people keep coming up to me. Random people just keep plopping themselves in front of me. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Let's talk. Okay, I'm trying to get some stuff done, but let's do it. Because I'm like, maybe God's putting these people in front of me for a reason. And, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with meeting new people? Nothing. It's a good thing. So, I'm at the Farm Fresh Foods, and I'm sitting at one of the little tables that they have, and this guy comes down, he plops down right next to me. He's like, you've got company, I hope you don't mind. And I'm like, all right, well, how you doing? What's going on? And a little bit of back and forth small talk. And he said something about not having to do any work today and how he was happy and it's a nice weekend and the weather's nice finally. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you do? And he says, oh, I'm a video production guy. I shoot commercials. I do video production and media, audio engineer, that kind of stuff. And I said, oh, really? I said, well, I'm a photographer. I do motion graphics. I do website design and multimedia graphic design, that kind of stuff. And he was like, oh, wow, that's great. And we had a really, really brief conversation, not much, but he said, hey, give me your direct give me your direct message, give me your phone number, send me a text. He gave me his phone number. He said, I would like to talk sometime, but I gotta go. And so I sent him a quick text and a couple of links to my websites, and who knows what'll come out of that. Just a random thing. I happened to be eating a sub, sitting at a table at the right place at the right time. You meet somebody who does the same kind of stuff you do for a living, and who knows? I just think those things are kind of funny when they happen. It's a lot of synchronicity goes on in my life, and I can tell you all kinds of stories about synchronicity. I could talk about that for the next 8 hours and never run out of something to talk about there. But for now, we're 20 minutes in. Like I said, I didn't have much to say, but all of a sudden 20 minutes worth of stuff came out of my mouth. So I'm going to stop this video, go upload it. If I go any further than 20 minutes, the uploads take forever, even on a Wi-Fi connection. So I think that's going to be the cap of how long these videos get. They've come close to a half an hour here and there, but I don't think I'm going to do 30-minute videos. Not in this format where I'm just holding my phone in front of my face and running my mouth. Maybe if I get into some content like some Photoshop tutorials, I could see doing an hour or two video on a Photoshop tutorial that's going to hold people's interest because I'm teaching you how to do something, and it's basically an online class. So I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you can hear. The microphone does a good job, even with all this crazy background noise. It gets so loud during the filming of this video that I can't even hear myself talk. But, the phones have pretty good microphones that block out the background noise. So hopefully this is another video that you can hear from beginning to end, and I'll check in with y'all tomorrow.